Hello, everyone. Hope you're all doing good. In today's session, we are going to see branches of linguistics. In the previous session, we saw that the basics of linguistic study is the study of language structure at different levels. So, the study of language in relation to the many areas of knowledge where it is relevant has led to the growth of many branches of linguistics. Thus, the scope of linguistics has grown to include these branches. It is psycholinguistics, sociolinguistics, and anthropological linguistics. So various branches of linguistics have grown because language is intimately related both to the inner world of man's mind and to the outer world of the society and social relationships. Each of these has aspects has led growth to the study of psycholinguistics, sociolinguistics, and anthropological linguistics. Let us see psycholinguistics now. So psycholinguistics, it studies the mental process of thought, concept formation, and their articulation in the language. So you study the mental process in a language behavior in psycholinguistics. Okay, where cognitive psychology, it is the area which explores how meanings are understood by a human brain and how syntax and memory are linked, how messages are decoded and stored. So at one point of time, psycholinguistics, it also studies the influence of psychological factors such as intelligence, motivation, anxiety, uh, and so on. On the kind of language that is understood and produced. So I can give an example here. So if in the case of errors made by a speaker, there may be a psychological reason which influence the comprehension and the production which is responsible for the occurrence of an error. So our perception of speech sounds or graphic symbol is one way or the other influenced by the state of our mind. So one kind of mental disability, for example, it results in the mistakes made by children in reading when they mistake one letter for another, which is called as dyslexia. So psycholinguistics can offer some insights and corrective measures for this condition. And psycholinguists, they attempt to answer to the questions, such as whether the human brain has an inborn language ability. Why such a question is arising is, one way or the other, we all have certain grammatical and semantic pattern which has been embedded in our mind. So psycholinguistics, it helps us to understand, it tries to explain how all human beings are capable of learning a language. Okay, so it also studies in language acquisition, how it is very useful in the area of language teaching because it also helps teachers to understand error protection and individual differences among learners. And this would finally help them to devise appropriate syllabi and materials for such students. Okay, so one specialized area within psycholinguistics is neurolinguistics, and this neurolinguistics, it studies the physiological basis of language and language disorders such as aphasia, loss of memory. All these are a medical condition where you will have a damage in your brain. It would lead to loss of memory. So it would help you to sort out this kind of language disorders as well, which were psycholinguistics. Okay, moving on to the next topic, sociolinguistics. So sociolinguistics, it is the branch of linguistics, that deals with the exploration of relation between language and the society. So it is known as sociolinguistics or sociology of a language. Okay, and sociolinguistics, it is based on the fact that language is not a single homogeneous entity, but has a different forms in different situations. Okay, so the changes in language occur because of changes in social conditions. For example, it can be because of social class or gender, regional, and also because of the cultural groups. A particular social group may speak a different variety of language from the rest of the community. So this group becomes a speech community now. Okay. So in the variation of the language, may occur because the speaker would belong to a different geographical region. Let us take the example of English. We find that it is not a single language, but it exists in the form of several varieties. So one kind of English is called as RP, which is received pronunciation. So this kind of English, we all know, it is used in the the southwest of England. And it is also particularly associated with universities of Oxford and Cambridge, and also in BBC. So it is this received pronunciation is considered as a formal kind of English. Not only this, but there are other varieties of English, such as Scottish English. Even there is an English spoken by a working class people in London, which is often called as Cockney English. And you can also take other varieties such as American English, Indian English, Australian English. So there are lots of other varieties. So we get this kind of varieties because it has been spoken in the various regions. Okay. Next is social linguistics. It is also the study of language variation and change. How varieties of language are formed when the speakers belong to a geographical region, social class, social situation, and occupation. And these varieties of language that are formed in various geographical regions involve a change in the pronunciation as well as vocabulary. So such changes, it result in the formation of distinctively different variety of language, which is called as dialect. So when there is a change in the pronunciation as well as the vocabulary, then it is called as dialect. Coming to the next topic, class dialects. When sometimes there may be changes within the same geographical region due to the social difference between different economic sections. I can say like between working class and aristocracy. So when there is such difference, such language difference, then that is called as class dialects. Okay. Next is dialectology. Dialectology is the study of demarcation of dialect boundaries across a region and of a specific features of each dialect is exactly called as dialectology. Okay, so one dialect may be demarcated from another by listing a number of features which occur only in a particular region. So the point at which a certain feature ceases to be prevalent and it gives way to another feature is a dialect boundary, or it is also called as isogloss. Okay. And moving on to the next topic, it is anthropological linguistics. Anthropological linguistics is where you study about the human society and culture and their development. So the evaluation of language in human society and its role in the formation of culture is another aspect of language, society, and culture. So this is what we study in anthropological linguistics. Okay. So the structure of language, it has a social and a cultural basis in the same way as other customs, conventions, codes, even the codes that is related to dress and food. So each culture organizes its world in its own way, giving names to objects or identifying areas of significance or value, and even suppressing other areas. So language becomes a way of embodying the worldviews and beliefs of a culture and the thing that culture holds sacred. Okay. For example, you can take that a culture in which a family relationship occupies the most significant position will may have many kinship terms in their language. You can take it if you take the kinship terms in English, it is such as grandmother, grandfather, uncle, aunt, etc. Whereas if you take kinship terms in Hindi, you will find there will be lots of major differences in it. Like, you have lots of specifying particular relationships such as your paternal and maternal grandfather. You'll call them as dada, nana. So it is not just grandfather, grandmother, whereas you have different kinship terms in different languages, so it differs according to the cultures. Okay. And similarly, there are terms specifying colors, emotions, natural phenomena, and so on, which are differently organized in every culture, and it reveal a great deal about that culture. So the study of these specific cultural elements is called as ethnography of a culture. Okay. And according to B.L. Worf, he influences like how we think, how a human think, and how a human perceive the world. Okay. So according to his hypothesis, it is that we as a human, we dissect nature along the lines laid by our native language. Even now, there is still a debate about this, but it is true that to some extent we are bound to see the world according to the terms specified by our own language. So these aspects of language and culture are still being discussed by anthropological linguists, philosophers of language, and even ethnographers. Okay, so that's all for today. I have given a few one-word questions from the topic that we discussed today. So try to answer these questions in the comment box. Thank you. I'll meet you in the next class.